Welcome to Alan Colmes Versus, where we discuss some of the more controversial things said in the recent news cycle in both traditional and digital media. The epitome, what we like to call around here, fair and balanced. Joining me today via Skype, Fox News contributor Cal Thomas. Cal, welcome.
Hello, Alan. Are you fair and I'm balanced, or the other way around?
It works both ways. I think we balance each other.
Okay.
So what happened is you're one of the 22 people, part of the National Review, I would say, takedown of Trump. You're part of that cabal of people who decided that Trump should not be the nominee. And while, I certainly, you have the right to do it. I support your First Amendment rights. But in a representative democracy, shouldn't the people decide who their nominee is going to be?
Well, of course. I was simply called by the publisher who didn't tell me who else was writing, and he said, would you do a 300-word piece on why you oppose Trump? I said, sure. And so I did. I mean, if he gets the nomination, that's still, I think, problematic, but then people can decide who they want to vote for or against.
What's wrong with him?
Well, there are a lot of things. First of all, I don't believe he's a real conservative. For those conservatives, and especially evangelicals, who seem to be blinded by his record, he is a late convert. For federal confirmation hearings on Capitol Hill, for people who've held a different position than the one they used to hold, we call that confirmation conversion. I think Trump is going through a campaign conversion. Up until recently, he was a big supporter of liberal Democrats, both financially and electorally. He was pro-abortion. He's on his third marriage, which ought to raise some questions among evangelicals who seem so blinded to this, the family values people. And frankly, I think he's a phony. He doesn't have any substantive answers to the pressing problems of our time.
Isn't part of the issue is that maybe a right-wing ideologue is not what people want? Look, I'm no defender of Trump, believe me. But is it possible that maybe an ideologue who hoils to a position without ever changing isn't what people want to have to vote for this time?
Oh, you mean like Bernie Sanders?
Isn't going to solve the problem. Well, no, Bernie Sanders has been probably an ideologue, stood for the same thing.
And he's leading on the Democratic side.
Maybe that's not what Republicans want this time.
Well, we'll see. I mean, look, I'd like to get beyond the labels. I wrote a book about this called What Works. We know what works. We have a history. We've spent all this money on education, and it's not improving education. So maybe school choice is a better answer. And it is working in some places. Why can't we actually focus on solutions instead of these sound bites?
Isn't Trump about what works, so he's not becoming a left-wing ideologue, a right-wing ideologue? At times he was for different things, depending upon what is going to work.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's always worked. He's gone bankrupt several times,
right.
Alan.
Would you support him? Would you vote for him if he's a Republican nominee?
Yeah, of course. If that is what happens, yeah. But I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it through the long haul. We'll have to see.
Well, if he's such a terrible representative of conservatism, and you're a true blue conservative, I know you a long time. You're the real deal. Why would you vote for him?
Well, as Bob Dole used to call it the evil of two lessers. I think depending on what we have on the other side, if it's Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, we'd have to roll the dice. Look, no candidate is perfect. No politician is perfect. You have to vote for the one that you believe will advance your cause and agenda the most.
But you just told me that Donald Trump isn't a real conservative. He's not going to advance your cause.
Right. Well, I know. But, I mean, what's the choice? There is no other. If you have a Republican or a Democrat, who are you going to vote for? Michael Bloomberg, if he decides
you have a right, you don't have to vote at all.
Well, you don't have to vote at all, but then you basically cede the territory to the left, because conservatives who don't vote or vote for a third party, like Ross Perot, for example, a perfect example, in 1992, made sure that Bill Clinton would get into office. And some people believe that when Ralph Nader ran, it took enough votes away from Al Gore that he was unable to win the election in 2000. So
what amazes me, though, is all the people who say the things you're saying about Donald Trump. You're not the only conservative saying it. And then at the end of the day, which is a phrase I'm tired of, will say, but I'm going to vote for the guy anyway if he's the nominee. I don't get that.
Well, I'll tell you, Alan, I'm very disturbed about the quality of candidates and elected people that we have in our country. And I think one of the reasons is that good people don't really want to run. People who can actually do a good job don't want to campaign. They don't want to sell their souls to various groups and I know Trump is self-funded. They don't want to go through the hassle of these background checks.
Are you selling your soul by voting for him?
No, I don't think so. Look, this is the kingdom of this world. It's an imperfect world. Scripture says we're all sinners, fallen short of the glory of God. Nobody's perfect. Anybody who's looking for perfection in politics is looking in the wrong place.
You worked for Jerry Falwell. Jerry Falwell Jr. endorsed this week, Donald Trump. What do you make of that?
Well, he's a private citizen. He can endorse who he wishes. I don't have any comment. I haven't talked to him about it, so I really wouldn't comment on it until or unless I do.
The evangelical vote for Donald Trump?
I don't think that, it's amazing to see this. I think in the Iowa polls, 42% of evangelicals say they're for Trump. You can't get an explanation other than, well, we need to shake up the system, or the establishment hasn't worked for us, so we need to tear it down and try something different. It's the most amazing thing. Just 2 or 3 election cycles ago, well, even going back 30 or 40 years, evangelicals wouldn't vote for anybody who had been divorced, much less married 3 times and bragging on affairs he's
Things
had.
have changed. Cal, thank you very much for
All
being
right,
with
Alan.
us. And you can follow Cal on Twitter @CalThomas. I'm Alan Colmes. Thanks for watching.